Hey everybody, Harned Ryan Hoke with you on this Friday evening. We're probably not alone watching the weather and seeing what's going on. So many folks keeping an eye on things, especially if you're concerned with floods and severe weather. Obviously, those are the two things we've been talking about all week long. And what a stretch this has been.
Some folks have already had like a foot of rain, and we're not done yet. That's the crazy part. So we've got severe weather. We've got flash flooding and river flooding. 1, 2, 3, all of those threats over the next really 36 hours. And then the river flooding is going to continue into next week as well. So get ready.
Yeah, we're not finished with this. A lot of folks jumping on. So we appreciate you all coming in, spending part of the evening with us here. We've been at this for, well, I feel like for weeks now because we knew it was coming. And then Sunday we had our own blip where there were 5 confirmed tornadoes. And then we were into this long stretch of alert days. We had put 4 of them together. That was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we're just a little more than halfway through
this is halfway
stretch. Well, it's just a little further than halfway.
Can I get a refund for my spring weather?
Almost 3/4 of the way, right? And then the folks that were on spring break, boy, they really missed out.
They lucked out, right?
Yeah, that's what I should have said. They're like, hey, yeah, we're just coming back in town. We're going to be okay. I'm like, oh my goodness, where have you all been?
Yeah, we've gotten so many of those questions. I'm going to X city, or I'm coming back from spring break.
Yeah.
Will it be safe? Will there be flooding? It's so many people wanting to know what's happening here at home.
Yeah, we got so many folks saying, hey, we're going to just pop up from here. There's Aaron saying hello. Here's Janice saying hello, Kevin, Ryan. We appreciate everybody being on tonight. Feel free to say hello. Some folks, I like how you all talk to each other. And unfortunately, we can't police everything. So I know sometimes we get rogue comments. You know what? We try to be just good enough to ignore them and move on and know that, we can't listen to everybody, right?
Yeah, someone said up here, I'm trying to find the comment here. We need to stop meeting like this. Oh, here we go. Brandon on X. Guys, we need to stop meeting like this. I'd like to see the sunshine again.
I'd like to see my bed at some point. That's what I'd like to see.
Or at least have a quiet night to sleep.
We're
right?
all
Last night was loud.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I asked everybody when I got in, I was like, did anybody get any sleep last night? What few hours we even went home? No. Brian looked like a zombie today.
He did.
I do too. I'm walking around like one eye open. So
I got the most sleep of the bunch, and even then, I think it was 4.5 hours at most. Yikes! Okay.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Carrie's like the Hoke Harned comedy hour. We'll see. Maybe it'll be the Hoke Harned 45-minute, so just slightly less than an hour.
3/4 of an hour comedy.
Yeah. And we'll try to really put some levity to it. There is seriousness in this. In fact, Sherry's like, I'm so nervous. My stomach is sick already. So some folks, listen, I know what it's like to have to move out of areas that are flooded. Mm-hmm. My grandparents, we moved them a number of times over my childhood. They lived along the banks of the Rolling Fork down in Nelson County. And boy, our farm sits along it in LaRue County. So it's a mess. I have always said, I don't think there's a lot worse than a flood because it gets into everything. You get the drywall, you got to cut it out. It's nasty. It's muddy.
And then mold too after the fact. It's awful.
You don't get it completely dried and cleaned, you're right. It's just a mess. So I'm not a fan of flooding at all. I'd rather just have the tornado take the thing away. That's my opinion.
And he's standing by it.
When I get tired, who knows where we're going to go with this, right?
This thing's going to fly off the rails fast.
Yikes. Let's hope.
Tell your friends to tune in, by the way. Wave weather now.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing. And remember, you can watch that on the Wave Weather app. That's the place to go. If power goes out, we're still with you. I know some folks were having trouble watching on Facebook the other night. I can't fix Facebook. I don't know what the problem is, but we don't own Facebook. So our apps are the best place to watch. All right, let's dive into this because we do have a lot to get to. I also am not just going to go through the severe chances for tonight and tomorrow and the flooding risk, but we're going to show you some of the video from across the area so you can see just how high that water is. Let's start with the alert days. We have them in place from now until late tomorrow. Severe storms and flooding rains. Those are all possible. Yes, the flooding could still be historic in some places. I like to show this because it gives an idea of where we are in this 4-day severe weather episode. And you can see that we're now into Friday evening. That blinking line shows where we're at. We still have the opportunity this evening to see a few strong to severe storms, especially into the overnight hours as we go into early Saturday, crossing over that midnight hour tonight.
Yeah, and then as we go into Saturday afternoon, we've got another chance for some stronger storms, and that flooding rain will continue all the way through the day on Saturday. One of our reporters, Fernando, was asking me, hey, when is there going to be some dry time on Saturday? And I was like, what dry time? There's not much of an opportunity for that. Then we'll get that strong to severe storm threat, especially in Kentucky during the afternoon, early evening. And then the rain is not going to magically cut off on Sunday. There's going to be additional rain on Sunday. It won't be as bad as Saturday, but that may aggravate, not only the flash flooding a little bit, but the rivers too. They'll be responsive to that rainfall.
Yeah, and again, with the thunderstorms and the heavy rainfall, at times we do have the risk of severe weather. So today we're in that slight risk, enhanced just out to the west of us. Tomorrow, the slight risk again. And then finally, by Sunday, no risk. We like that. The severe thunderstorm watch that was in place for 10 o'clock canceled, but you'll notice the one just to our west. So that was for the evening round of storms, the watch that was out. So the threat of severe weather, while the immediate threat has ended, what comes in later tonight will still have a threat of strong to severe storms as well. So you can see we're finally drying out. A little bit of dry time across central Kentucky, letting some of those waters recede, which is some good news. Yeah, we need that. I'll pause the radar here and then dive into some of the totals that we've seen. And boy, they have been impressive, especially down along the parkways.
Now, this would be impressive if it were snow. Consider that for a minute. But this is impressive even more so because it's rain. I mean, we're talking a foot of rain down near Litchfield, down toward LaRue County, in spots where they really don't need it because of the rolling fork heading into southern parts of Nelson County near New Haven there, 9.6 inches. Now, these are Doppler radar estimates, but we found these to be pretty valid today, comparing them to some of the reports and gauges. Here in Louisville, we've had a bit less rain. You notice there's a little bit of a donut hole, but that may very well change tomorrow as we get a widespread heavy inundation of rain in here. These totals will all go up. And it's hard to imagine, seeing more than what we've already got on the map now.
Yeah. Now, the good news is we are seeing some breaks. Now, you could imagine what this would be like if the rain did not let up. I mean, this is really a big bonus for the folks in central Kentucky. Yes. Having a few dry hours goes a long way to letting those waters recede just a bit, because so much of what we've seen already has been that flash flooding, the headwaters going up. And what we will continue to then see as the next few hours unfold and into the night tonight and tomorrow will be additional thunderstorms that develop with some heavy rainfall pushing in. So that's what we're looking at. Let me show you also what the sort of weather prediction center says over the next 24 hours, where the extreme rainfall will be. And they have a moderate risk across parts of central Kentucky and back out to the west, again, with some of the heavier rain moving in. What about for Saturday? Boom, right over us. Heavy rain. And in fact, it's a high probability of that, or a high risk of that, just off to our south and west.
And that's pretty rare, by the way. We don't see that often nearby, let alone touching Grayson County very often.
Yeah, and think of this like the Storm Prediction Center, right? We have the Storm Prediction Center, the Weather Prediction Center. They're different. The Storm Prediction Center talks about severe weather and those probabilities. This is for extreme rainfall, and you'll notice again that high risk area for that. Not normal. And then, of course, by Sunday, we're easing it out, pushing that marginal risk off to our south and east. Look at all the flood warnings and watches we have. I mean, almost seems like every river and tributary under the warning or watch, certainly at this point.
Yeah, every waterway, basically, that can get a flood warning has it at this point. The Ohio, the Blue, the East Fork of the White River, etc. Now, look out to our west. This is our next source of very heavy rainfall, unfortunately, and the potential for at least some severe weather tonight. You can see tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings out to our west. Now, looking at this, just a snapshot, Kevin, this is not nearly as formidable as what we saw Wednesday night heading toward us when almost every cell along that line had a tornado warning. So this is correct. A step down.
Now, if we look at that, you can see there are still a few severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, and those will continue into southern Illinois, West Kentucky. Will they reach us? It is possible. If that happens, it's going to be late tonight. Why is it happening? Warm fronts lifting to the north, that area of low pressure, several of them back out across Arkansas, the Boot Hill of Missouri, moving in our direction. So that warm front really has played a role today. We've seen the timing for the storms that will move in this evening stay on target, probably after midnight, certainly by the time they reach the viewing area, perhaps the western part of the viewing area by midnight, more likely just after, and that would push them through the Louisville area, even past that, of course. So between that 1 and 4 a.m. time frame, and then after 4 off to our south. Notice how warm. I mean, Columbia was in the low 80s today.
Could you believe that?
Now that's something.
That's a warm front for you.
Yeah, we stayed in the 50s, but the warm front is on the move. And beneath the warm fronts, not only the warmer temperatures, but the fuel, the moisture measured by the dew point temperature in the 70s and upper 60s. That's fuel for some of those storms that moved in not only late this afternoon, where we have the risk area, but also later on tonight.
And that's why they've got that enhanced risk, that 3 out of 5 for areas west of Louisville. Those storms out to the west, despite us not seeing a whole lot of sun today, like at all, will have that moisture and warm air energy moving in from the south. So what we call advection, helping to create instability, if you will. So between now and 4 a.m., but really between about midnight and 4 a.m. is when we'll see damaging winds and isolated tornado potential, hail, and very heavy rain. Just what we needed more of.
Yeah, and if you're out tonight, just know that this rain will really ramp up and accumulate fast, which just means it's heavy rain, and you really just have to be careful. If you have things that flood, just pay attention and be ready to go to higher ground. And by all means, don't drive through the flooded waters. Our storm chances for tonight really go up. Now, we've got the severe chance on the front end of that, 2, 3, maybe even 4 o'clock. And then later in the afternoon tomorrow, another severe chance for us. And then that will take care of it, then the severe part, which is good news because we really have 2 more opportunities for severe. Late tonight, just after midnight, and through about 3 or 4 in the morning. And then again tomorrow during the afternoon and early evening hours.
And that's what makes this so tiresome for you folks at home, because you have to be concerned with not only severe weather, but the flooding. So while you're taking shelter in a basement from like a tornado warning, you may potentially have water trying to come into that basement. So kind of a double-pronged threat here. This is Futurecast here for the overnight and for tomorrow. And you'll see that line of storms moving in from the west. Look at those temperatures out ahead in the 60s. These storms will still be pretty nasty when they cross I-65. Now, when we get into 7 a.m., the severe weather threat mainly over, but still could continue across parts of extreme southern Kentucky. But then we're socked into the rain, Kevin, for most of the day.
Well, and it's heavy rain at times too. So, I mean, when we're not seeing the heavy rain, it's moderate rain, and then waves of rain keep pushing in. You'll see another little push of those stronger storms late afternoon into the evening. That would be that second and final severe chance. That passes by during the evening hours. I think the severe chance is over by 8 p.m.
Easy.
And then we're looking at just more rain into Sunday. So our severe chance for tonight, early morning on Saturday, would be that slight to enhanced. And then you're going to notice tomorrow evening, the second and final opportunity for severe, still in that slight risk area.
And you may see some adjustments to that second risk area for tomorrow based on where this front's going to end up early tomorrow morning.
And then, of course, the rain chance for Sunday continues and may even mix with a few, dare I say, snowflakes.
I know. I hated putting this in today. Coloring those bars pink was not fun. And this is up toward US 50 near Seymour and North Vernon, where we would have that, by the way. So in Louisville, I don't think we'll see any snowflakes, but within our counties, it's possible.
Yeah, so that rain, the steady rain moves out in the morning. Some spotty showers, again, will continue into the afternoon and the evening. Some of those, moderate rain. And then you can see that mix taking place by late in the evening. So we're not dry until Monday. All right. So we still have the rain in the forecast through the entire weekend. In fact, we'll add another 3 to 6 inches of rain across the viewing area. I know folks that have it already 12 inches. That means, yes, you're going to wind up with anywhere between 15 to if we're looking at another 3 to 6 and you've got 12, another 15 to 18 inches of rain that you'll wind up with all said and done. And that certainly is problematic when you look at the rain totals. So this is a big deal.
And what separates us right now from 1997, by the way, is 97 kind of happened almost all in one day, 13 inches of rain, kaboom. And that's why that happened. For us, we've had more of a longer time that this rain has fallen over. And we have had those breaks that Kevin was talking about earlier. So despite some of these numbers on paper looking scarier than 97, it's all about the time. The time has been on our side compared to what happened nearly 30 years ago. For folks who may be kind of reliving some of that 97 flood trauma, it's not going to be that bad, but it will be life-threatening and in some places potentially catastrophic.
We're already seeing all of the water levels rise across the area. We saw some folks being rescued earlier today down in Frederickstown. That's the Berg for folks that are in Washington, Nelson County area. You know where I'm talking about. So we have seen that. I'm going to show you some of that. Why don't we take a quick break? I'm going to reset. When we come back, we're going to go through in detail the river levels for the Ohio and for the Rolling Fork. We'll take you through where our reporters have been today, showing what the water looks like today, and then we'll take some of your questions. So we'll be right back with the river levels. Yeah, we're back with you here. We will continue to watch these rain showers push in over the next few days. And consequently, we have to pay close attention to those river levels because this is a big deal because it affects so many people. And when I say affects them, it's not like, oh, I can't get in my car and go drive to town. It's no, you've got to move out of your house. You've got to get to higher ground. You've got problems. I hate flooding, by the way. If I've said it earlier for folks that are just joining us, you're seeing what we're talking about, but it's just a mess. So let's jump into this. You can see they've upgraded the Ohio River, at least from this point, that could go into the major categories.
And that's a 30% chance of that whenever you see those circles. So it's not a lock on major. It's probably going to be moderate, but we're watching it.
Yeah. And in fact, that's a good thing to talk about, the different shapes that you see on the map and the different colors. The colors we have labeled up there. And you can see action stage, minor flood, moderate, which are the red, and then, of course, those purples that are major.
Yeah. So when you see the squares, that's kind of a lock that you would see the color level above. So for instance, the Rolling Fork down there near Boston, that would be major flood. It's going to happen. Full stop, right? Now, where you see the circles, it's a little less certain. It's like a 30% chance or less, but they at least wanted to flag it that it's a possibility that you could see major flooding. I really think at this point we'll stay at that moderate here, the Ohio upper gauge. We'll show you all those gauges here in just a moment.
Yeah, a lot of the water, the hydrology part of this is tough, and we're not hydrologists. So, we're passing along information at this point. This isn't something we forecast. We don't forecast river levels. We forecast the rain for our area, but what affects the river levels, rain farther to the north, places what Pennsylvania gets and how that may flow down and impact us here in Louisville. So we can only go off of experience and what we know and what the computer guidance helps tell us. So let's jump into a couple of these. We know a lot of folks have interest along these rivers, and then we'll show the graphs on this. But here's where the forecast crests or forecasts are. Some of these are not crests because the crest may not happen until after these dates. But these are what we have at this point that take us through mid to late next week.
Right. So the National Weather Service only forecasts a few days out. So on some of these, this is just the max that they have for now, and it will go up. You see the Rolling Fork River near Boston there. That is the major flood they're expecting on the 7th, 3 days from now, around 2 p.m. And that would be very close to what you guys had down there in 2010. And that's not good. That is a significant flood.
Massive.
I remember, Kevin, there's a photo of you kind of in your big boots and high waters down in the water down there.
I was in New Haven.
Yeah,
that storm.
It was awful. And then you have the Ohio River upper and lower gauges. Those are here in Louisville. Those equate roughly to 2018. This will be very similar to 2018. I know the lower gauge says 97 as the last time we were kind of at 68 or higher. But the 2018 flood was at 67 point something. So we'll be very close to that 2018 level, not to 97, a few feet below that most likely. Green River to Munfordville, Salt River at Shepherdsville, both of those expected to crest at either 2018 or 2010 levels as well. That would be in minor flood.
Yeah, and we'll see if those go up. I suspect with as much rain as we've had down there, I know, for instance, when you start talking about levels of Rough River, I had my cousin send me some information earlier today. It was already reaching the spillway, spilling over.
Yep, that's
and that hasn't happened since, I think, 2011, something like that. So we have some massive flooding going on now. Some of that's able to recede because we have a little bit of a break, but with more rain coming, you'll notice the upper level of the Ohio continue to go up. And notice how that line then flattens out. I think that's where we have the unknown. I think that's where the hydrologists that are working on this forecast are like, you know what, we know we're going to get to here. We'll plane it out because we're not sure if we're going to go down or up, but it would be very rare for that to just hold steady for that period of time. And we'll see. I mean, it could go a little higher than what we have listed at its peak, which is 68 feet.
And there are some impacts that this kind of level of flooding have as well. Our new flooding graphics are kind of cool because they allow us to click on the colors here and show you that once you get to 65 feet, you've got like Dixie Highway flooding from I-265 to West Point. Riverfront parks in Clarksville, New Albany are going to flood. Overbrook Road, like Dreamland flood. And of course, Indiana 111 floods upstream of Bridgeport, and that's at the lower gauge. This is on the western side of Louisville, so this is affecting like Portland, Clarksville, New Albany.
Yeah, and when you start closing roads down, that becomes problematic, even in minor flood at 55 feet, which we're already zooming past. We have some yards getting flooded. So that's just a testament to what happens. If we were to go into major flood, Kentucky 44 closes over in New Albany, Blackenson Mill Road floods at Silver Creek, and then the lock is closed. So we'll see as time takes us, where that winds up. That's the lower gauge. Let's look at the upper gauge.
Now, the upper gauge is forecast right now to be at 35.5 feet. That happens early to mid next week. And again, just like we were talking about the lower gauge, it kind of just flattens out and stays there. So make room in your head for adjustments on this. It may go up. Moderate flood starts at 30 feet, so we're going to be 5 feet above that. And when a 30-foot moderate flood stage is reached, you've got Utica Pike flooding at Duffy's Landing in Jeffersonville. Utica, Indiana is flooding at that point. 3rd Street ramp off of I-64, it completely closes. It's not just making the right turn. You can't get off I-64 on that main downtown exit there. 10th Street closes the floodgates. River Road, I should say, floods. All these beaches are going to get cut off. Basically, River Road, just avoid it next week. It's going to be closed in most places the way this is trending right now.
Some folks chiming in saying, here's Tina saying the spillway at Rough River started filling today. Gloverport was put on notice about the flooding. So that is, again, what we're seeing. Roads might flood, might be bad with heavy rains. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We saw it last night. We had a rescue.
It was rough.
Adult and 2 kids at 11:30 last night. Oak Street here in downtown Louisville happened, right as the newscast was ending. it's, you get that heavy rain, flash flooding occurs, and then, of course, we will await the river flooding.
And it's worse in cities. That's called urban flash flooding because you've got so much concrete and asphalt that the rain has nowhere to go. So it's often worse in the downtown area.
Take a look at this. This is the rolling fork at Boston. So we have different gauges that we can see. We're now at 44.18 feet. So we're into the moderate flood and approaching major flood down there. That means that houses in low-lying areas flood walls closing in LJ. You can see in Boston at 50 feet, which we're perhaps going to reach. It's certainly possible. The forecast now takes it to 50.6. The town of Boston's cut off. Water 3 to 6 feet deep in west and central parts of New Haven, and Kentucky 434 floods at the bridge in Lebanon Junction. So those are some of the rivers that we're keeping an eye on. Let me also punch up the Seymour area. This is the East Fork of the White River. It is now in moderate flood at 17.64, forecast to go to 19.5, which would also take it into major flood. All right.
Wow, just incredible just to see all this purple here on some of these smaller rivers. When we built these flood graphics, I wanted to make sure we gave enough room so that we could annotate, kind of the purple and the major there. And boy, I'm glad we did. We're seeing it a lot.
Yeah, Austin points out sewers at capacity across Louisville, water in his basement. Boy, what a mess awful. That is. And MSD did send out that notice today as well. Mm-hmm. All right, we are going to take some of your questions, but I want to show you what these floodwaters look like across parts of the area. We want to take you over to White Mills, and that's not too far from Hardin County, LaRue County.
Yeah, this was Dustin Knight on X sending this in, a friend of ours in meteorology here. And look at the cars along the Western Kentucky Parkway at the White Mills exit here. That tractor trailer really struggling to get through all that water. This is a situation where you probably don't want to drive through this. And he just so happened to be at the scene when that happened there. Turn around, don't drown, we say.
Yeah, right. That's not the only flooding we've seen. And again, that's flash flooding. A lot of that recedes. Western Kentucky Parkway back open. So it's not like, WK Parkway's floating, WK Parkway's, flooding out, but it was temporarily. Let me take you down to Frederickstown or the Berg, show you what that looks like from above. We were flying our drone across that. Some of these homes down there earlier today actually had to get some rescue crews from Marion and Washington counties to go out and pick up the folks because this happened so fast. Again, flash flooding. Very quickly, these waters rise, catching people off guard. You can see a number of homes not flooded, but boy, a handful there that were. And it's like, man, I'm going to need some help. This happened quick.
Yeah, and you can see kind of where that sharp razor edge is right there. And I believe a church parking lot there between where it's flooded, where it's not. And what a rough situation that was for folks. And of course, those rescues taking place because as this camera gets ready to pan to the right, boom, right there, and it goes past the gym, you will see these homes on the very right. Once that shows up, there it is. And those are the homes that got cut off by the flood water there.
Yeah. Now, again, likely the headwaters and the flash flooding. So a lot of those probably receding at least a bit, at least we hope, because this is the time that would happen with the dry time. The bad news is the ground is so saturated that the rainfall rate doesn't have to be nearly as high. So the flash flood guidance to see that water rise back up, it's like a sponge, right? It's full. You put more water on top, it can only go up. It can't be absorbed. So these waters, if you have the chance to be in your house right now, get what you need or get up what you need so it's off the main floor if it floods, because water levels will be going up again.
And that's a big problem because with all the saturated soil, more rain in the forecast, of course, things are going to be going up. So let's go from Frederickstown to Lebanon Junction, and that's where we find some more drone video here shot by our crews down there today. Look at all the water through the trees there, obviously out of its banks, and causing a lot of trouble down there in southern parts of Bullitt County.
And this is the Salt River. It too floods, and we know that we have problems along that anytime we have heavy rain like this. So this is down not far from the Shepherdsville area and just south as you work your way toward Lebanon Junction. So those areas that we're watching can't help but to feel for the farmers on this. Some folks mentioned it yesterday. The Salt River, again, out of its banks, crews in the air and on the ground seeing this, and folks that are in these homes, are working hard to make sure things are elevated.
Yeah, so we've also got some of the roads there. We were taking video of that earlier today, and you can see the Salt River way up there, pretty close to that bridge, and of course water flowing past the trees. So if you happen to see that road is not closed yet, but maybe the water is starting to overwash it, overtake it, turn around, don't drown. We often see folks try to beat the flooding out, and that's not safe to do. So make sure that you're watching that, especially at night, because that can be really problematic. Okay, let's go to Louisville, shall we? This is the floodgate closure that was taking place today. MSD crews have been working overtime there, asking folks, hey, if you don't have to do the laundry or wash your dishes here, maybe postpone that because you've got this rainwater making it into the actual sewer system here and causing some backups. MSD doesn't deal with just sewer water, too. They deal with the flood walls and the floodgates here in the city.
Yeah, and the walls are going up. And, of course, some folks on the opposite side of the walls are the ones that are not so lucky. If you live along the banks or have businesses along the banks of the Ohio, you're like Kingfish or River House or Cunningham's or Captain's Quarters. And then, of course, those are some businesses. We have marinas along that area as well. Those folks going to get cut off by the water and really are working hard to make sure they can do what they can to salvage. I mean, the bad part about some of this is this isn't just once. This just happened to some of these folks in February, and now it's going to be even worse.
And then River Road's also under construction in that area right now, too, just to add insult to injury. So kind of a tough year for businesses on the Kentucky side of the Ohio River here in Louisville along River Road. You can see them making preparations there, trying to get everything put up.
Yeah, I mean, people just can't catch a break.
No.
Rough. We showed you a lot of video. We've got the river graphic beside us that showed the expected flood stages or current flood stages. Let's take a few questions and see what folks are saying.
Yeah, so a lot of folks, on here this evening concerned about their individual places like Lebanon Junction from Grant here. And we've shown you some video. We've also showed you the river levels there. So Allison's asking kind of the question of the hour. The storms that are getting ready to hit Jefferson County, Indiana tonight, will they be severe? It is possible. That's why we're going to be here.
The greater chance for that is out to our west as those storms first move in, and it's not going to happen until late after midnight. So again, this is why from the beginning of this sort of 4-day alert day, which we flagged a week ago, we were saying, hey, make sure you have a way to get warnings during the overnight hours. This setup is just a pattern that's in sort of rinse and repeat mode. It's repeating itself over and over. We have the boundary nearby. We can't get it out of here just yet. That happens on Sunday, but until it gets out of here, we're bringing up these area of low pressures as the nighttime low-level jet increases. It helps fuel some of these storms that are kicking in, and that's the reason why we're going to have more strong storms tonight and certainly some heavy rain across the area. They're already on the radar, so we're just tracking them our way.
Oh, our friend Todd Richmond, he says, so we're all going to feel like we're living in Venice. That's like the 37 flood when Venice would come to town.
I thought Todd already lived in Venice. That must be his summer home.
Misty's asking about tornado warnings. Are they possible either tonight or tomorrow?
You know, when we think back, we obviously have just the other night in mind, Wednesday night, early Thursday. That was a pretty decent tornado outbreak across the country. We had 728 warnings that were issued at that point. It was the most since 2011. This is nothing like that. But could there be a warning or two? Yes, it's going to be possible. But the chances are lower than they were, and they will not be as numerous as they were. So it bears watching, which is why we're going to be here. You just need to have a way to, if it happens, to know that we're going to be here, turn it on, follow the instructions.
We've got a question here from Gerald. Will I-65 South be flooded by the time I drive to Nashville tomorrow and back home for Monday? And that's a really good question. A lot of folks asking about travel back and forth from Nashville, Lexington, whatnot. 65 would probably be the most exposed interstate to flash flooding potential here on Saturday, especially in Bullitt County. Brian Good and I were talking about this a little earlier. The I-65 stretch in Bullitt County did flood back in 1997. It's possible we could have some problems with high water on there again. It's possible we'll have problems on I-65 in Louisville. We know near Arthur Street, That's a little bowl right there. Sometimes that fills with water even just during a bad afternoon thunderstorm in August. So please use caution if you're going to be traveling. I think Monday would be fine. Saturday, that's going to be a little more problematic, especially during the afternoon and evening after you've had more of those repeated rounds.
Yeah, it's going to happen in a flash flood sense.
Yeah.
So, the river flooding should not affect the interstates.
Okay, Sean says Taylorsville Lake is high and it's draining down the Salt River into the Ohio River. Part of the reason why, of course, the Salt River is so high right now.
And of course, that's why the Ohio floods last. Everything sort of flows into it, and it just takes a little more time. It's bigger, has more volume. So for it to rise, that's why our crest will not occur until mid to late next week.
Sue's asking sort of the long game here. Are you sure this is only a once-in-a-generation event? We can't handle it anymore. So you had, the flooding in 97. You had some river flooding in 2011. You've got this going on. So it seems like we kind of bounce around every 10, 15 years or so with situations like this. So this is part of living in the lower Ohio Valley, unfortunately. Carrie's asking about what we're going to be doing tonight when that line moves through.
Yeah, as the line moves through, we'll try to, of course, we'll be on at 11 for Wave News at 11. And then we'll be back on here as those storms, if they're severe, if the threat has gone, then there's no reason for us to really be on unless we come on just to say, hey, there's no threat. But to sit here and talk about nothing would be rough, especially after we've been here around the clock for days. So we'll take a look at it, and if we need to be on, we certainly will be on.
Okay, so Sabrina's asking, about the severe weather tonight being as bad as Wednesday. We kind of already addressed that. It won't be, thankfully. That's a good part of this equation here. Kelly's asking, is there a reason all of these, I'm assuming severe storms, have been during the overnight hours? Is all severe weather this year going to be during the overnight? No, it's just a pattern we're in that's doing this.
Yeah, and that's what we were explaining, as the front nearby, the low-level jet. This happens. I mean, we get storms at night that typically would build up. And sometimes, if you remember people talking about heat lightning at night, those storms, there's no such thing as heat lightning. It's just thunderstorms in the distance. So the reason why you see it at night is, first, it's dark, and you can see a long distance with that. So those are just storms that have been generated as the daytime has been building up the heat and the instability. And then as the cap breaks and the low-level jet increases, you get the thunderstorm development, typically during the late afternoon or into the evening or overnight hours.
And just based on where the jet is placed out to our west, those lines of storms generate out in like Missouri and Illinois. By the time they get here, it's late, and then the low-level jet intensifies more, and that's why they kind of intensify over us. Bad luck there. Norman reporting a mudslide on Milton Hill in Trumbull County about several hours ago. Not the only mudslide in our area. Had one on the Snyder today.
No, and Norman, thank you for that. A longtime Wave viewer. Appreciate that.
Lots of other questions. Will there be loud thunder tonight? Yes, unfortunately, yes. Much to the chagrin of a lot of bleary-eyed meteorologists that you've seen on TV today.
What time are you here tomorrow?
I'm here between 2 and 6 tomorrow, right? As a
We're
pop quiz.
We're all here tomorrow at different shifts. We're taking 4 or 5 hour shifts tomorrow, and there will always be 2 of us here through the day tomorrow.
That's the plan. Yeah. Misty's asking, do the storms for tonight, do they look like they're weakening? They will be weakening as they move through. The issue is with the low level jet, and this kind of cranks up after like 8, 9 o'clock this time of year. They may intensify a little bit as they're moving into our western counties, but eventually they'll start to weaken. So I don't think they're going to be the biggest problem in the world for us, but they are going to be something we have to watch. You see that lone tornado warning now, southeast Missouri. So
there's not a ton of warnings out there. This would be peak warning time, by the way.
Yes,
we would start to be seeing more warnings. So this just gives an indication. This is not going to be a huge deal tonight, but there could be a few warnings. Okay, so it's the reason we have to stick around. I mean, we're not going to go anywhere if there's it's like, there's not going to be 10 tornado warnings, so I'm going to go home. No, we have to stay here.
Every single
as far as everybody staying up all night, I don't think that's the case. You just have to have a way to get the alert. And that's why it's so important. We just keep beating that drum. make sure you have a way to get the alerts. Get the alerts, turn the TV or the stream on, and we'll sort of walk you through what's going on in the weather.
And a way to get alerts does not include a tornado siren. We've had so many reports from folks saying, hey, my tornado siren's not working, or it waited 15 minutes after the warning was issued to come on. Tornado sirens aren't for you in your home to wake you up at night. They are for folks out at like parks and golf courses, kind of just outside. So have a NOAA weather radio and the Wave weather app. Okay, so we've got another question from our friend Austin here. Will mid-April be quieter? We sure hope so.
Yeah, if it's not, I'm quitting.
Thankfully, mid-April's in our 10-day, and the 10-day does look a whole heck of a lot better than what it does right now.
Yeah, in fact, thunder forecast, which is a week from tomorrow, has improved. Mid-60s, partly sunny.
Yeah, as long as you can find a place to sit.
9 days away.
The trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, the Great Lawn may still partially be underwater.
Yeah, concerned about that. All right, Mitchell asked a good question. You said gate to gate the other night. What did you mean? That may have been me who said that.
Yeah, I think we always talk about gate to gate shear when we're talking about velocity, and that's just the couplet that you see on the radar.
Yeah, so why it's called gate to gate is literally like you've got pixels on the radar defining how fast the winds are and in what direction. And literally gate to gate is like a pixel beside a pixel, a gate to a gate. We call those pixels gates. So gate to gate shear is essentially you've got two radar pixels right next to each other that are going opposite directions in wind direction. And then what is the speed difference between that? So essentially gate to gate shear is the amount of total wind speed between those two pixels, those two gates kind of rotating around each other there. So when we say gate to gate shear, that means what is the rotational speed of the winds in that spot?
And that's, super helpful to know. So when we're analyzing velocity on the radar, we look at a lot of different products. That's the great part about the radar system now is we can manipulate the radar and look not only at reflectivity to determine how heavy the rain is falling or if there may be hail, but we can also look at velocity to determine wind speed and direction. And we have the correlation coefficient, which gives us an idea of anything foreign is being thrown into the storm. And that can mean anything from birds or debris, things that do not belong, that are different shapes or sizes than water droplets or snowflakes. So that's how we determine, oh my goodness, that looks like that's debris showing up from the radar view. All right. These are all great questions. I'm going to put up a couple more here. And then Ryan's bringing up.
KFVS has a tornado on the ground moving into Cape Girardeau.
Well, let's show what we can see.
Let me get that queued up for us here. So
their velocity as well. That's what they're tracking.
Give us just a second.
We'll be able to take a look. While we're doing that, I'm going back to see if I can scroll down. Ryan was putting up the questions, and I'll throw up a couple more here.
Okay, there's your live feed from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. There, we'll get the audio working here in just a second.
Yeah, I'll turn that up in a second. Some people are asking about supercells in Grayson County or anywhere like Wednesday. A lot of people, we always remember what just happened, right? These will not be like Wednesday. This is going to be along that line. There may be an isolated chance. The other night, we kind of knew there was going to be severe weather, right? I mean, it was as close to a guarantee as we ever give in weather. So tonight's not like that. Tonight, there's a small chance. It's not a zero. It's a non-zero chance. There's a small chance. Will it be like Wednesday? Absolutely not. So they are watching the storms out west, and we can bring
west of Cape Girardeau and other storms we continue to watch.
This is
We've
Grant
got a
Dade.
supercell that's moving in towards Poplar Bluff right now.
Meteorologist
right now, it's like mainly hail
KFVS,
and high
our
winds
sister station in Cape Girardeau.
Quarter-size hail. And we're getting lots of reports of flooding, folks. Lots of reports of flooding. This is going to be a nasty,
very heavy rainmakers.
Yeah, just like us here.
Let's see. I just got a report.
I'm trying to keep up with the chat.
This is tightening up just north of the station.
And you can see by looking. We can analyze their radar. So since we've had some radar questions, let us talk about this radar view, and I'll turn their audio off and bring them back up. But when we look at this, you can see on the velocity, we're measuring speed and direction. We know the speed by the colors. The brightness indicates the stronger, the faster speed. The direction is measured by the color. So we have from the radar beam, the green's going toward the radar, the red's going away from the radar.
Yeah. So what you have there is what we called that couplet, that gate to gate shear, literally over where it says Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which is where this television station, KFVS 12, is based in Missouri. That's southeastern Missouri. Bad timing. Only tornado warning on this line of storms in that section and heading through a very populated area.
Let's listen in.
It may already be there. But we've
That's
got
a strong drop on CC.
Yeah, it is a
Strong
drop.
drop on
It's a little
CC,
noisy,
she
but
said.
man,
Debris on radar.
It kind of adds up. So what it looks like we're happening
let's see if they
is
will-
it's occluding. I don't know if we're going to get a new circulation, but it is definitely to the north of the station. Yeah, we're going to get nailed with very strong winds here at the station. So because we're going to get that gust front. The gust front, the rear flank downdraft is moving right through downtown.
I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but
And you hear their team talking
we've got,
as they roll through this. They're talking about
it's a
gust
very
fronts, the
tight
leading
circulation
edge, the wind
right
coming
near the
out
golf
of that
course.
storm. It's typically a
And,
cool breeze that you can feel kicks up everything before the storms
Yeah.
arrive.
And when he says RFD or
I'm
rear
gonna
flank
be headed
downdraft, that's like
back
the
into
wind's
studio
rotating
because I need
around
to get
the
some
supercell
roads
and
to be
the
calling out because
tornado.
this thing is tightening
Those
up
can be very fast
significantly.
as well.
Significantly tightening up. We've got strong rotation. It is going to the north side of downtown. It's going to be probably very close to the casino.
very populated
maybe just
area
north
for
of the
them.
Casino in Cape Girardeau. It's going to be just northwest of the casino, but it's going to be. I'm going to get in here and kind of zoom in because I know a lot of folks in this area, and I know a lot of folks are in harm's way right now. So I want to make sure that they are.
So you're listening, if you're just
Okay.
tuned into our stream, this is Grant Dade and his team at
So again,
KFVS
we've got-
TV in Cape Girardeau,
So the station's right here. We're
Missouri.
getting hit with the rear flank
And this
downdraft.
storm is right on the
Actually
Missouri-Illinois
right
border.
here now on the north. Here's Lexington. It's on the north side of Lexington. It is crossing Perryville Road as we speak. If it is on the
This
ground,
is,
the
again,
circulation
not
continues
Lexington,
to
Kentucky.
Tighten up right in Cape Girardeau on the north side.
Oh my.
This is what
That's
I'm
some
talking about
powerful
right
wind.
here. This tornado is located in this general area right here. So Cape Rock Road, you need to be seeking shelter. We're talking about the golf course I was talking about is right up here. So the circulation looks like it's going to be just south, just south. That's why I needed to get in here to see the roads because the source I have, I can kind of guesstimate where it is. But here's our tornado. So the station is right here. The tornado's right here, and it's moving off to the northeast. So it's going to go towards North Sprigg Street. We've got southeast Missouri, where the softball field is at southeast Missouri. If you know where that is, that's where this circulation is moving right now. I know there's a lot of folks that live in the apartment complex right there on Lexington. This is going to be very, very close. There's a few apartment complexes that the students go to. Please be in your safe spot. Get in a basement if you have it.
Someone's
if you
asking,
don't
what are
have
the
it, put as many
purples there?
walls between
Purples,
you
well,
and the
on the previous
outside
radar
as
view that he was
possible. So
on
I'm
there,
gonna zoom out just a bit,
that can be
because we've
kind of
got
what's
this
called
possible
anomalous
tornado.
propagation. Whenever you see
No, it's
purple like
confirmed.
that, it
They've
means
got,
like, it's data that's not applicable.
I'm,
So you're really looking for shades
lost
of green,
losing the
shades
mic,
of red
so-
on that.
And that storm over Cape Girardeau looking,
at about 45 miles per hour.
Double tornado warning there.
So I've
yeah,
got
there are two tornado
confirmations.
warnings. And
One that's going up north of
the train spotter and Justin Hilliard, who you heard on our air the other night, also says that, out of Paducah, there's a train spotter reporting a tornado headed toward Gordonsville. That's, again,
in your safe spot, even if you don't get the tornado.
There have been additional train spotters reported tornadoes straight from this storm.
It's more than likely a little farther north and east now. Let's see if we got,
And he's showing that CC, which is correlation coefficient. It's essentially looking for debris on radar.
All right, so we've gone from
Which is
the
what they had
purple
earlier.
shading on this tornado warning that was going through Cape Girardeau, and now we've got this.
Yeah, so it looks like that particular tornado may have lifted. You talked about how they changed the color of the tornado warning because they reissued it without a tornado observed tag on it, essentially. It's a regular tornado warning again. So scary moments in Cape Girardeau, but it looks like they have enough confidence that tornado lifted to take that observed tag off.
I don't know where people consider Jackson in the eastern part of Jackson. They're not safe.
So you're seeing all of this is outside of West Kentucky, but that whole line is marching to the east. Now we have a long time before it reaches us, probably 5 to 6 hours here in Louisville. at least 4 to 6 hours, I would
Notice
say.
numerous severe
But there are
thunderstorms
storms out ahead of
west
it. You can
that are
see
headed
some
our
of
way.
those
Good news,
pushing
that
across
tornadic signature we had with this storm, that
and just
really
to our
weakened.
north.
So
They've had a
hopefully
rough go
that
of
will
it.
be the trend.
Oh.
We'll just keep
Jonesboro,
this
Memphis,
line
Cape
of
Girardeau,
storms
our
that
sister
brings a lot of
stations in
rain,
those
a
three
lot of
markets.
wind.
St.
But
Louis
right now
too.
we've got a tornado.
It's been a week here,
Confirmed
but it's been a
tornado
week out there,
that's been
more
moving
so
the
for
Cape Girardeau
tornadoes. And
area.
of course, they've got
Unfortunately,
really
kind of
bad
taking the
flooding getting ready to
same,
hit right close to the
path.
Mississippi
It
River
did
there
occlude
as
and
this line
move
of
to the north.
storms
You need to
lays
watch
itself out overnight there.
a little bit.
Yeah, well, we're just kind of keeping an eye on what Grant Dade is doing over at KFVS. One of our colleagues that we work with through Gray Media, they're at the television station. They're tracking storms, and they've been doing the same as we have over the last 3 or 4 days. Rounds of severe weather through the evening and overnight hours, and they continue to do the same tracking to make sure that their viewers are staying safe.
Interstate, but I don't know about some of these communities north and east. I know they still go to the Jackson school, so I definitely,
But again, repeat heavy range is coming across the same area, which is why you're seeing just behind the tornado warnings, flood warnings in place, flash flood warnings.
Yeah, it's troubling for those areas out there. A lot of farmland out there. Those folks are trying to plant right now, and that's a problem because if it's flooded, can't put seeds in the ground.
Now, some folks probably wondering what is the difference between what they're seeing and what we're going to see tonight. Let us bring the radar back up here, and we'll point out that as this moves closer to us, while there is an outside chance of a warning, there is, in that sector, there is the only tornado warning, or there are 2 together, and then there's one farther across southwest parts of Arkansas. But the threat of tornadoes tonight, again, while it's not zero, it is not the main issue. Right? Flooding will be the main issue tonight. And you can see that as those storms line up, the greatest threat of any type of tornado would be on that leading edge of the storms.
Yeah.
And that's what has been repetitive for us so many times, not just with this event, but several of the past.
Exactly. We do have one question I do want to address from Brian here. He's like, hey, is there any way to watch this live stream without these mic guys right here, which should be us with the microphones? KFVS12.com/live stream is where you'd find Cape Girardeau, Missouri's CBS affiliate there, Channel 12, our Gray Media station there with their live continuous coverage if you want to watch that. Otherwise, here in Louisville, you can continue to watch us, or if you're curious about Louisville's weather or anywhere nearby, that's what we'll continue to cover.
Yeah. And again, we're watching it on our radar. Let's bring him back in. We'll just see, again, that's the only active weather we have with the tornado closest to Cape Girardeau moving through. Grant Dade.
Put as many walls between you and the outside. For you folks in Pocahontas and Oak Ridge, I know it's noisy right now. This circulation is going to be staying to your southeast. So this tornado will not be impacting you. And we've got again, another tornado warning out.
And just a strong push of wind with that too.
That tornado is. It's a very tight circulation. And again, it started near the Advance area and just kind of followed the same path. And you can see it right there. That's our possible tornado. And according to storm spotters, it is periodically on the ground doing damage.
Yeah,
we've gotten reports, of some debris and stuff flying from the air. So we definitely want to take this seriously as it moves off towards Procter & Gamble, Highway 177 out of Fruitland towards Procter & Gamble. That's where this tornado is. So Jackson, like uptown Jackson, you're fine. This is out of here, even though it's very noisy, very stormy. I wouldn't go outside or anything, but the tornado is past that area, as well as Cape Girardeau, the city itself. I know we still have a tornado warning, but the actual circulation.
Some folks are asking, will these storms coming toward us weaken by the time they get here? They will weaken some, but they will not weaken completely. We do have the chance for isolated severe or tornado warnings tonight during the overnight. But I think that the bigger issue for most are going to be the heavy rains that come with these storms tonight, linger into the early morning hours tomorrow in the afternoon, and another chance of some strong storms in the afternoon.
Yeah, we've seen the worst of the severe weather already. We will see some more severe weather, most likely, just not as bad as it was.
Dale's asking a question that we can both answer because it's the same tornado. Dale's saying, Kevin, Ryan, just curious, how close have you ever been personally to a tornado?
150 yards, May 31st, 2010, Campo, Colorado. He and I chased together that year. And we so happened to stumble upon Kevin's first tornado.
It was
our
crazy.
first time ever chasing together. And for Kevin, that was like, wow, finally, because he had been trying for years to actually see a tornado and experience one in person. So
Well, and not only was it just a brilliant tornado because we were in the middle of nowhere, so it wasn't really, tearing anything up.
No
But
damage.
the good part was it was really the way we were positioned. It was backlit perfectly, so it made the weather calendar. It made the cover of that.
Yeah, the weather calendar that you would buy at the mall like 10 years ago, it was on there, and you could see the headlights of our SUVs, which was like super wild. But yeah, it was an EF2 tornado. It did not really damage anything because it is such a scrubby sort of arid land out there. Not many folks. It's super unpopulated. So that's where you would want to see a tornado, is where it can do no damage to anyone's stuff or human life.
Justin's asking, what part of Kentucky are you from, Kevin? And same to you, Ryan. Well, I'm from Nelson County, so where we're talking about New Haven, we show you in the video down along the Rolling Fork. That's where I was born and raised, and went to Purdue for my degree in atmospheric science, and came back to Wave here when I was pretty young. So I've been here 26 years.
And I grew up in Louisville. I technically was born near the Nashville area, but 2 weeks after I was born, my dad got the job at UPS. So I've been living here in Louisville ever since then, basically, and kind of circle from Beulah Church Road all the way up toward Worthington Hills. That's where I've lived multiple places. My parents like to move around as a kid. But yeah, basically been here all my life. So this is home.
Yeah. And you went to Mississippi State?
Yep, went to Mississippi State. And if you're looking for the high school, because everybody in Louisville's like, what high school did you go to? DuPont Manual. And I was in their HSU program. Because everybody always asks that.
They do around
they
here, that's for
literally
sure.
always ask that. Where'd you go to high school?
Union County looks like it's headed towards the Wolf Lake community. Wolf Lake is under the gun for this tornado that is headed your way. Again, it's moving off to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour.
Melissa's asking, will the live weather videos be back on the Wave app tonight? If the weather is, as these storms approach, yes, we plan on being back on. It just depends on if we're going to be on TV or in the studio, but regardless, they'll be on your app. So if we're having severe weather, we'll be on. If we're not having severe weather, we're tracking these through, we'll probably still be on because we're going to be here anyway.
And the cool part about our smart TV apps, if you have like an Apple TV or a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick or something like that, you can download the Wave Now app for that. And then you can access Wave Weather Now. It's that second option under the main page there. You'll see it pretty easily. And you can just keep that on. Like that will stream indefinitely. So if you just want a little bit of comfort, we will break into programming on Wave Weather Now if there's a problem. If there's not a problem, you'll see that 24/7 wheel of updated weather graphics, live radar views, et cetera, that we've programmed into it. So that's kind of a nice way to kind of soothe your fears, is to just keep Wave Weather Now on a smart TV that you may have laying around, or a smart TV device. And also wave3.com/weather now if you've got like an iPad or a laptop you want to use. The Wave Weather app on both iPad, iPhone, and Android is also available. Just tap Watch Live. It's so easy to do.
Well, we're looking at that storm out there. Still saying it's observed. 18 more minutes left on that warning. They're tracking it in Cape Girardeau. It's going to cross over into southern Illinois.
So let's back things out. If you're just tuning in, of course, we've got another tornado that just almost took another direct hit into downtown Cape Girardeau. And as it was doing so, it quickly veered to the left, and that's what's headed towards Proctor.
So Michael is asking, what does veer to veer mean? I've never heard veer to veer. I've heard of veering winds.
Yeah.
You just heard Grant mention the word veer, meaning it just took a little bit of a turn. Sometimes when we're tracking supercells, they can be right turners, but I'm not sure what veer to veer means.
Veering and backing, too, if you're looking at like an atmospheric sounding. So you can Google that, veering and backing. It's interesting. It's a little too technical even for this live stream to try to explain that.
I kind of expect another severe thunderstorm.
Wave Weather Now is also good for background music, says Braden Harper. Yes, I am the curator of that music playlist. Thank you. We do holiday stuff too.
Missouri
later in the
is
year.
going to be moving into a very favorable.
And our friend Chris Beatty was really the
He was the first one.
He was
yeah.
the one like, don't put that old clunky music on it. Let's get it a little more upbeat. So
It's called lo-fi music. He introduced me to lo-fi, so I've added like 5 hours, 6 hours worth of lo-fi music to it. Justin's asking, what's the biggest tornado you guys have ever seen? And it would have been the one I was talking about, that EF2. We haven't seen an EF5 or anything like that. That would be horrific to see, by the way.
Some serious flooding concerns. Look at all these, everybody in our western.
You talk about the flooding now.
Yeah, because that's what's going to happen on the backside of this line.
Flood warning. Cape Girardeau County is under a flood warning.
It gets to a point, and we were there last night, where basically everybody gets under a flash flood warning, and you really just have to identify the spots that are the worst, because it all starts to look the same if you look at a map. So you really have to kind of know in your viewing area as a meteorologist, all right, which spots are going to flood, where do I have reports, etc.
Cody's jumping in saying, well, what are we getting tonight? And we've been talking about that for the past hour. And Cody, what it is this line of storms we're tracking with our colleagues out at KFVS will be moving in our direction. They will still be strong in some respects. Can't guarantee severe weather, but it's not a zero chance. So we know that the storms will move in. The guaranteed part's heavy rain. The not so guaranteed part's the severe, but there's still going to be a chance. So we'll watch that. The heavy rain continues really through tomorrow, with another little spike in the severe chance tomorrow late afternoon into the evening.
And then hopefully, once we're done with that severe chance, it'll be a bit before we see our next one. We're just sick of this.
Okay, so this is where, let's see.
James is asking, with our temperature tonight and dew point high enough to create any tornadoes? Oh, again, we certainly have some of those ingredients there, which is why there's at least a chance. If we were still cool like we were earlier today, and our temperature right now is 59. So we've gone up progressively, and we're going to keep going up. So we're going to be in the 60s. But if we were in the lower 50s or upper 40s, then yeah, we would probably preclude severe weather chances. But as temperatures go up, that moves in from the west, there's still going to be at least a chance.
Tornadoes are very temperature-driven engines, right? So tornadoes like temperatures in the 60s and 70s. They really don't like it when it's super hot and dry. They don't like it when it's too cool. So that sweet spot is the 60s and 70s for tornadoes.
How long have we been meteorologists? 28 years?
15 years for me. It's been a bit. We're getting old, Kev.
This
week is aging us, too.
I feel old this week. That's what I was going to say.
Golly.
Karen's asking, when you say it will be a while for severe, does that mean Saturday too? Well, there are two chances for severe. The first comes our way tonight as we track these storms closer to us. And the other chance comes tomorrow during the late afternoon and evening. I can show you what that looks like. The spike tonight would be anywhere between that 2 to 4 time frame, probably. And then tomorrow between 4 p.m. and about 8 p.m. So those are our two spikes for severe, but obviously there's heavy rain going on even between the spikes of severe, or the severe potential.
If you're looking for dry time tomorrow, stop looking, because you're never going to find it, most likely. There will be some times when you may get a 5-10 minute break, between kind of just patches of rain moving through. But for the most part, this is a kind of a wall-to-wall rainfall situation. We don't often say it's a washout, right? 9 times out of 10, Kevin or I will be on TV and be like, it's not a washout for the weekend, right?
And I'm a fan of never canceling plans. Like, I'm always like, I can't tell anybody to cancel their plans, right? Like, I rarely cancel my own plans because of the weather.
And we don't want to have the authority to do that, right? It's not like we're a school superintendent canceling school, or a party planner canceling your party. But tomorrow's one of those days where it's like, if you've got anything planned outside, it's probably not the greatest idea in the world.
Yeah, I know the garden show folks out at Paristown, they've been calling through the week asking about that. And it's like, I don't want to tell you to cancel it, but what I'm going to tell you is it's going to rain for a good chunk of the day, and we're going to have sort of be bookended by at least a strong storm chance.
And do with that information as you will. So we don't want to say, you got to cancel it. We're going to say, it's going to rain all day. Do what you must do. That's what we do.
Oh, we're getting the personal questions now.
Oh, Lord.
How old are you, Ryan?
I am 34. by the
Oh
way.
my gosh.
You're asking. You're asking.
And I'm just 38.
Plus 10.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus 10 and some change.
Yeah, it was almost plus 11. I'm having my eyes are not working as well as they were earlier in the week either here.
That's lack of sleep and opening them too much.
Well, and things are rolling by so fast.
Oh, that's also true. These live streams, by the way, have been super popular this week. Thank you guys for watching.
How's the weather looking for thunder?
Better.
Let me get to that.
Better.
Doesn't look bad.
Kevin's going to show you the 10-day. The cool thing about our 10-day forecast, by the way, is we've got a kind of a clever method here where we can insert holidays and events and special things automatically. So sometimes they'll pop up on TV and we don't even realize, like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, look, like
It's that
Thunder over
close.
Louisville's like next Saturday, right? I was talking to Don G about that today. Like, I think this is the first time in a long time that we haven't talked about Thunder over Louisville this close to it that much, just because of how crazy powerful the weather has been lately.
Right. Normally that'd be all eyes on that date.
Yes.
Maybe more important this year than ever before, just because of less space to
The
watch.
flooding on the Great Lawn is going to be a big problem. I don't think it's going to recede all that much by Saturday of next week. If our crest is at some point mid next week, plus or minus a day or two, we'll see how that goes.
Right. And you can see we do calm it down early next week. So it'll be nice to get
Thank
some dry
goodness.
time Monday and Tuesday in here.
And some sleep.
Yeah, and a little sleep. That's what I'm going to be doing on Sunday while it's nice and rainy, but not severe,
Sunday
right?
slumber.
I was looking to see the National Weather Service out of Paducah chiming in.
that's tapping my watch too with those notifications.
Oh, what did I do?
Oh,
Double tapped.
There we go.
There's Grant Dade.
But stay away from the
I wanted to check in one more time, then we're going to say good night, and we'll be back on for the 11 o'clock news and back on after midnight as these storms move closer to us if we need to be.
Jeff, what do you got?
He's
Menards,
he's picking them out.
He's letting me know that she heard back from the Delta Fire Chief. No new damage to report right now in Delta. So that's great news there.
That is great news. Okay, so the tornado did exactly what we were praying for, folks. It looked like it went right into, we didn't want it to hit anybody, but we definitely wanted it to dissipate before moving into Delta. And it looks like it did. It looks like it probably skipped, touched down in advance, and then it touched down again near.
See, and that's the thing.
touchdown.
Well, the way these tornadoes work along these lines is they're not always just on the ground, burrowing a path. They kind of go up and down, and you get spotty damage along the way. It could touch back down.
Exactly that. That's what we were concerned about Wednesday night was these tornadoes skipping kind of their way through the Louisville metro. And of course, it looks like there may have been one.
Weaken this storm, we can hope, because we don't need golf ball size hail, hitting all these homes.
Well, that would be a problem.
Because that will do some serious roof damage.
And those roofing
Papa,
contractors
you
this
are
year
gonna
making their
go
cash.
over now.
Right.
Those insurance companies too. I'm worried about, frankly, this is a selfish thing. I'm worried about insurance rates, like home insurance rates going up again significantly because of all the severe weather that's happened in our region. The Eastern Kentucky floods, the Western Kentucky tornadoes there over the last 3 or 4 years have elevated insurance rates in the Commonwealth of Kentucky tremendously here. And the fear is that more of this flooding, more of this severe weather is going to just kind of add fuel to the fire on that kind of ever increasing insurance rate, both auto and home insurance rates going up.
They haven't tagged it that I know of with a possible tornado, but and this is going to be moving towards the Neelyville area. So this storm.
Lots of lightning too, as you can see from their SkyTrack camera behind them there. So as these storms approach us tonight, yes, they will have heavy rain and lightning and thunder. That's a guarantee. The severe weather part for us is still a little less known, but there's going to be at least a chance. It's not like the chance will go away.
And that's why we're going to be around tonight. We might look like zombies, but boy, we'll be there if something happens. We've got multiple folks coming in over the weekend too.
Nervous, as you can imagine, and I just
Ashley says it's so foggy where she is. She's down in Breckenridge County. That's that warm front moving through. That's advection fog that you're seeing right now.
Yeah, temperatures down there have been warm all day. In
Yeah.
fact, in some areas down across southern part of the state, Columbia was at 81 or 82 this
Yeah.
afternoon.
It was quite the temperature map. It looked like a rainbow because all the different colors corresponding to the temperatures.
Would you guys still chase tornadoes?
I do a little bit.
Yeah, and
few years. Yeah.
we still have the ability to. We haven't done it in a few years, but sure, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. We just got to have a calm year for weather around here for us to be like, okay, yes, let's go see more severe weather. Sometimes a lot happens here, like this year.
Sherry's saying all this rain is bad for farmers. Boy, it really is.
That's no good.
Hike out and just see the sunset. It just shows you all the southeast Missouri.
Tina says she turned on her AC at Hardensburg. No surprise. Yeah, that's why you've got the fog, the infection fog, the warm air is overpowering a cooler ground. The rain cools down the ground very quickly, by the way. That's why that happens.
Brandon was talking about noticing the temps rising. Yes, everywhere they will.
Conditions really go downhill.
The wave weather Walking Dead coming up next.
Yeah, that's it. By Sunday.
We'll be zombies.
So for you folks in the Jackson area that I was concerned with a little bit, I want to go ahead and give you, now you're not in the all clear because there's a big storm moving in there, but I don't see the spin up happening. They just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for that storm, and they did tag it with a possible tornado. Because they too see that little quick.
So they still have the tornado warnings in place. Let's see for how much longer.
Cape Girardeau right now. So
We got
so many warnings. It's hard to query them on
5
any app
minutes.
you're on.
5 minutes on the
5 more
tornado
minutes there,
warning.
yeah.
Yeah, it's dissipated quite a bit.
That's good. That's good for us too, by the way. We do want to see this start to taper down to our west. There is always the possibility the low-level jet tries to amp this up a little bit tonight, but I don't think it's going to be like Wednesday, not by a long shot. We can't handle another Wednesday. Oh my gosh, no.
Hopefully it's not dropped yet. But eventually,
ZK on YouTube asking, why are the temperatures going up so late? It's a warm front. So basically a big bubble of warm air to our south is now advecting or moving to the north, and it's warming everybody up. It's like a boundary, if you will, between cool and warm air, and that warm front as it pushes north makes temperatures go in the direction that you're not used to this time of night, going up instead of down. So we call that a non-diurnal temperature curve, basically when the temperature doesn't go down overnight but goes up instead.
We do have a warning now just north of us. We'll pop our radar up as we take Grant down. This is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning moving across parts of central Indiana.
Indianapolis
right into Indianapolis. So, so now they're seeing a severe thunderstorm warning. So these storms are getting closer to the northwest part of the viewing area. A few have already moved through. This is not the warm front part of this. That sits just to our south, of course. But this is storms that are coming in from the west, and that line will start to approach us through the overnight hours. Not arriving here in Louisville until much later in the night, but you can see they will arrive first across the northwest part of the viewing area from Lawrence County down toward Du Bois County. The tornado warnings we're talking about are right there, not too far from the Cape Girardeau area, moving across southern Illinois. And those are the ones we'll be watching. It is the only one, and it's about to expire.
That warning in Indianapolis, we call that a rogue warning because it's so far north of the warm sector. But sometimes you can get enough ingredients even north of a warm front to get a rogue severe storm like that.
Again, there aren't a ton of even severe thunderstorm warnings. There's a handful, but only the 2 tornado warnings. So right along the Missouri-Illinois border near Cape Girardeau, and then another one across southwest parts of Arkansas.
Just like that.
All right. Well, I tell you, we're going to wrap things up. We'll continue to, we've got to update the forecast. We actually need to probably eat dinner.
We have to eat?
It might be a good thing.
We haven't been sleeping. Do we have to eat too?
And then we'll be back at 11 o'clock and then overnight tonight. So you guys can tune in to Wave News at 11. If you're looking for more information on our 24/7 weather stream, we say thanks for watching Wave Weather Now. It is Louisville's only 24/7 weather channel streaming online. We appreciate that because it is something that we work hard at keeping updated, and you'll get that information when you want it. You can just turn the channel on as you browse through your favorite apps. Hopefully that's wave3.com or the Wave Weather app or the Wave News app, but it could be on Fire Stick. It's on the Roku. It's on the Apple TV.
Yeah, and you can watch our live 24-hour severe weather coverage on there. When we're wall-to-wall on TV, we're also wall-to-wall on Wave Weather Now, so you can watch us when you're out of the Louisville area.
All right, 9:30. Have a good night. Keep an eye on that radar for especially flooding potential, and then we'll be here if there's any severe weather overnight tonight or again tomorrow. So for all of us on the Wave Storm Tracking Team, we know it's been a long week for you all too, so thanks for trusting us, and we'll see you on here later on tonight. Good night.
See you guys.